Many people try to follow the trend in various areas. Don't just follow the crowd. It requires a lot of effort to refrain oneself from following the trend in all kinds of areas. However, if you're trying to do something new, having a mindset of not following the trend can be the best method. Many people these days are jealous of social, hip, celebrity-like insiders and try to live a life like that. Such people post photos of themselves with flashy cars, yachts, and glamorous people and try to present their lives to look cool. But even in such a society, there are the outsiders who do not envy the lives of the insiders by keeping their time to themselves and living their own lives. Such outsiders find satisfaction in the time spent by themselves. Because of such characteristics of the outsiders, however unintentionally, they have been able to deal with self-isolation and maintain their lives well during COVID-19. People have always lived in groups since the past because they feared being alone. People these days are particularly sensitive to trends, so they want to follow them and dread to resist against the crowd as they do not want to be alone. Insiders fear that they will fall from the bandwagon if they do not post photos of themselves dining at fancy restaurants and holding designer-labeled bags on Instagram. And they fulfill their need to reproduce at loud clubs and parties. Insiders live to show and let themselves ride on the bandwagon. On the other hand, outsiders do not ride on the bandwagon and live a life as a loner. Professor at the Department of Biology at Princeton University, Karina Tarnita, says that it is not easy to become a loner. These are the people who resist the flow of the crowd and follow their own paths, regardless of the standards and expectations set by the society. During a conference held in 2013, a video recorded by a researcher about fungi was shown, and Professor Tarnita's research team had a question about it. Most of the fungi had formed groups, but some fungi did not at all and stayed by themselves. Professor Tarnita wondered why some fungi existed by themselves, away from the crowd. In a thesis titled Eco-Evolutionary Significance of Loners, published in the global academic journal PLOS Biology, the researchers say that there are individuals who do not fit in the human society. Depending on the society's perspective, they are called a misfit or a genius. In order to verify that the loner fungi did not have any biological issues, researchers fed them and let them breed, and it was confirmed that they did not have such issues. Professor Tarnita wondered, what if these loner fungi being formed was done strategically, not unintentionally? The researchers spent 7 years researching this. It seemed that some fungi existed alone intentionally, where about 30% of the group always chose to live alone. After a long research, the researchers found extremely interesting data. When the population was small, most of the fungi lived alone and did not form colonies. However, as the population grew, the number of loner fungi appeared to stabilize. The researchers also starved the fungi and observed the competitiveness of the fungi that formed groups versus the loner fungi. Surprisingly, the loner fungi turned out to be more competitive and were more likely to become a winner. When the population was small, the fungi lived apart from one another and they had a higher survival rate. Researchers refer to biodiversity as a reason for a strategic formation of loners in any group. In short, to prepare for the possibility of the fungus population being destroyed and collapsing, some fungi stayed far from the crowd. The outsiders in this research refer to those with the same biological conditions as the insiders. For humans, this would be those with the same physical conditions as the insiders. The outsiders in this context are not the social losers who do not exercise or learn. Perhaps the outsiders who spend time for themselves are better than the insiders who invest far too much time in what other people think about them. Steve Jobs said at the commencement speech at Stanford University, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary."